Welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing important topic. Tonight we'll be focusing on two important events the President has carried out with during yesterday and today. Two very, very tiring days in which there has been lots and lots of inaugurations to many of the projects. The President started with the rest assured, we're in control. These were the statements of the President reassuring Egyptians that every crisis will eventually pass just through the solidarity between the people and the state. This exactly where the statements the President started with during his visit to Abdel village, the Bahira Governorate, to inaugurate several projects under the Decent Life initiative for the development of rural Egypt. President Sisi said that no one can accomplish something on their own and that joint work is key. The President was also keen to address the nation on the economic crisis, on the world economic crisis, and definitely the economic hardship that we, part of the world, going through, and touch on all their concerns. Several messages the President has been keen to send in his statements, not just to Egyptians but to the whole world, and this is exactly what we will be focusing in our episode tonight. Before we delve into our discussion, first let's have a quick look on the top story of the day. And President Abdel Sisi inaugurated the Tahya Misr multi-purpose terminal at the Alexandria port on Thursday and raised the Egyptian flag on the Wadi al-Muluk vessel in Alexandria. President Sisi said that the development of maritime ports put the country on the map of competition and helps it to benefit from its capabilities and location to be a center for world trade. He added that many criticize some of the development projects, but if it or the country does not have a suitable infrastructure, then you are not founding a strong future. The President said that much more extensive efforts should be exerted and more money is needed for the country to successfully make use of its position. The head of state added that Africa's infrastructure needs thousands of billions of dollars to achieve stability for its countries and for people to live properly and stop fighting. He also said that £2 trillion were allocated to the Ministry of Transportation, a sum much greater than the money that had been allocated over the past 30 years. The President continued that we will continue building the state despite all the challenges, and further noted that the industrial logistical zone in Alexandria port will receive containers from large industrial countries. On yacht tourism, President Sisi stated that Egypt has no share in some 5,000 yachts in the Red Sea. On the sidelines of the inauguration, President Sisi received the CEO of the French shipping lines company, the CGM, and a number of high-ranking officials accompanying him. Presidential spokesman, Councillor Ahmed Fahmy, stated that the President praised the close historical relations of cooperation between Egypt and France, stressing the cooperation with the French company, stressing that cooperation with the French company represent an added value to the development of the management of the Great Port of Alexandria and establishes Egypt's position as a global trade and logistical center. On his spot, the CEO of the French company congratulated the opening of Tahya Misr station, praising the business climate in Egypt and stressing the company's aspiration to enhance cooperation with the Egyptian side in ports management, as well as expanding the company's scope of work. The Ministry of Transportation is implementing 80 projects in ports at a cost of 129 billion, with the participation of 100 companies from the private sector. Welcome back to our topic of the day. And before we delve to our discussion, let's first have this quick report. And President Sisi addresses nation on economic crisis from Decent Life Village. Let's watch.
President Abdel Sisi said that every crisis will eventually pass thanks to the people's solidarity with the state. Referring to the series of global crises ongoing for the 3 years, El-Sisi assured Egyptians that they can have confidence in the country's ability to navigate through the current challenges, stressing that the state has been working to mitigate the repercussions of global crises. The president's remarks came during his visit to El Abadia village in the Hira Governorate to inaugurate several projects under the Decent Life Initiative for the development of rural Egypt. Concerning the challenges facing the state, El-Sisi said the population increase has taken its toll on development efforts. He added that amid the domestic financial crisis, Egypt has received millions of people fleeing hostilities in various countries, noting that Egypt currently hosts 9 million guests, citing the coronavirus and the Ukrainian-Russian war and the repercussions on the global and domestic economy. President El-Sisi pointed out that the dollar crisis has had a major impact on prices in Egypt. The head of state referred to the Egyptian countryside in past times, saying that villagers used to be self-sufficient in terms of their basic dietary commodities and would sell their surplus to the state, noting that now the state provides them with their needs. The president said that since the beginning of the global crisis, the state has been keen to ensure that we have a stock of strategic commodities for no less than 6 months. He noted that the government has set guiding prices at which the state buys strategic crops, such as wheat, from farmers. The president also noted that 70 million citizens are currently registered in the state's subsidy system, providing them with commodities at subsidized prices, adding that the state has enlisted guiding price for the strategic agricultural goods. The president noted that the state is cultivating 2 million faddans in Wadi al-Natrun and 450,000 faddans in the Sinai Peninsula. On health, the president said the leadership has launched an initiative to eliminate lists of people who need free surgeries, adding that surgeries were carried out for 2 million patients until now. During his visit to Al Abadia village, the president inspected multiple landmarks, including the medical unit, the technological services complex, and the village's senior home. He also engaged in conversations with residents and important figures from the community. President Sisi declared that with regard to the development, the government spent 150 billion Egyptian pounds on Decent Life Initiative, and the total will hit 1 trillion Egyptian pounds when finished. He added that the universities introduced over the past few years, coupled with ones that previously existed, would fulfill demand on higher education until 2050. The president said that the state is currently focusing on the manufacturing sector to serve 4 main purposes that are creating jobs, raising the GDP, substituting imports and boosting exports, and in turn, inflow of hard currency.
Right, welcome back and back to our topic. Let me here welcome our guest, Dr. Hisham Salam, economic expert. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And going ahead with our topic, let me take messages that were sent by the president. And let me take the first message, reassuring people that everything is under control and that projects that were carried out by the state are based on the strategic plans to serve citizens for the next 30 years.
Indeed. Good to be here again, Mona. You and I had a good conversation last time about strategic planning when we met about the initiatives, the poverty alleviation initiatives. Every avenue or economic, let's call it, solution that is being implemented has been developed by groups of experts, university professors, worldwide experts, in collaboration with the best of the best in the world expertise. So it's not random, and I think we can feel that. We can see where it's going. Yes, you come across variations, your plan needs to be reassessed, reevaluated, realigned, but that is part of strategic planning. So absolutely, everything has been planned with the Vision 2030 and beyond. I think what we're working on now is Vision 2050 when it comes to climate change and so on. The various elements of our Vision 2030 has been expanded on through the input of international organizations, collaboration with other governments, and as well as our expertise. We have some of the best in the world economic experts, and I know how these plans are being made. Very robust, very international standards. So you're absolutely right. That message was very clear. Our planning is long term. We will come along a lot of bumps on the road. That's absolutely fine. The largest economies of the world have been through this. We know where we're going, and the end game is very clear.
When the president gave messages, he started by saying that it was attributed to people. So he spoke about this solidarity or the scope of the society and the harmony the society and unity the society is on. And then he started to speak of different sectors and the reform program the state has carried out with. And there were different spheres. So can you please illustrate?
Sure. Of course. I mean, Egypt has a population of around 110 million.
The president spoke about 105.
Okay.
But okay.
I must have miscounted. But yes, we have one of the youngest working population in working age, very high, over 70% are under 35, I think. So we have a huge opportunity in the coming years to utilize this gift that we have. One, two.
I'm sorry. The gift of the growth in population. The
gift of the what we call the human capital.
Yes, indeed. But it's a double edge.
Indeed, it is. It's a challenge, and in every challenge there is a huge opportunity. China is 25% of the world population. In 1997, China was the poorest country on earth. 1979. Okay, 90% of the population of China was under the poverty line. Where is China now? And how did this happen? It happened because of mobilizing this human capital power, engaging them in the growth process, just like what we're trying to achieve here.
No,
and as
not just as we are trying to achieve, because China has its own way internally. So we are not...
You're talking about geopolitical? That's different.
We're speaking about the...
economics of the process, right?
We're speaking about the political system inside China, and
I think that's a side story. What we're talking about is the human capital, that you can convert a problem to an opportunity, regardless of how you do it. But it's doable. And in Egypt, I think the president highlighted that in saying that we have to have solidarity. We have to work together to achieve this objective. So it has to happen. Everyone has to be engaged and involved and interested and willing to put in the effort, whether the effort is by withstanding hardship or by contributing or by partnership, by providing knowledge, understanding, by working harder, by working 3 jobs maybe. Why not? It's that part. I mean, a country is like a family. If you go through hardship, by
giving ideas or by contributing with constructive ideas, also
absolutely.
That was another...
Staying positive.
Yes. For instance, the president spoke about the challenges themselves that we are confronting, and that it was inevitable to start reform program, starting with building the country from scratch. Because we started...
I wish it was from scratch. It was... he spoke about this today. He said, if you give me a piece of land, It will take me 3 months to build roads and infrastructure. If you give me a piece of land with something built on it that I need to demolish it, build it again, move people somewhere else, and then bring them back, that's 10 times the time. So the challenge is...
10 times the challenge.
The challenge, yes. So it's not from scratch.
Indeed.
It was.
Even
I I would have hoped it was from scratch, yes.
So let me here take your opinion. How you read this message? How did we go through our plans?
As I said, plans are live creatures. They are not paper or plans are actual have actual lives of their own, because you have to, in your plan, you have to have multiple milestones, checks, rechecks, valuations, evaluations, revaluations, and you keep changing your plan based on the challenges. I mean, if you're hit by a corona and then a war and then devaluations and then worldwide inflation, you need to keep monitoring your plan. How did we do? Actually, we did extremely well. We weathered the storm of corona extremely well. We even helped others in Africa.
We withstood the corona, absolutely.
Absolutely. We helped even our friends in Africa, as you saw in the visit when the president was there. With the Ukraine-Russia war, I think we're doing well so far. Yes, the reason being we are dependent on imports of wheat from both countries, and they export over 70% of the world wheat. We're not the only ones. But again, very quickly the government moved, looked for alternatives, got extra supply sources, and we're getting there. Let me ask you something. Did you go this morning to the bakery and didn't find bread?
No.
I didn't.
Not one day.
Not one day. How did they do that? I mean, we have to keep an eye on these things. Yes, we can complain about other things, but actually it's there. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive, or okay, you have to deal. We have to spread the pain.
Let me take it here, because this is a very, very critical point you spoke about. Maybe it increased in price, but it's there.
Yeah.
But people do not see that as a good thing, that it really exists, even though that its prices have increased, because the people are very critical in this very particular point.
Unfortunately, Mona, we cannot control everything in life. We can make it available, but there is a certain limit to what we can do as far as pricing is concerned. Inflation today in Germany and in the US and in other developed countries with huge amount of cash reserves and so on, they are suffering so badly from inflation. Japan, Germany, the largest economies of the world. UK is going through New Zealand. It's just announced they are into a recession. Second quarter with decrease in GDP. Germany, they have
the strongest
major
economy
issues.
in Europe.
Yes, absolutely. And it is. And let me tell you, it's not, the crunch is not on the rich there. It's the same. It's on the less fortunate, and it's quite difficult. France had 3 weeks of demonstrations because of the prices of basic needs. Britain is into recession already. I mean, the reason the government has changed.
If people would steal something for less than 100 sterling, did you hear that?
I saw that, yes. so you know, we're in the same boat. We're not, and that brings us to, I think, your next point, or the point after the next point, is about the ports and the connections with the world. We are connected to the world. Trade, world economy is absolutely entangled. There's no way around it. Globalization, multinationals, and so on. So what happens in a village in Papua New Guinea will affect you and me somehow. So yes.
Before we continue on with our discussion, and we'll continue because we will be speaking about some of the very critical points the President spoke about yesterday. And before we continue on with our discussion, let's have the second report. And Egypt's project improves people's livelihood. Prime Minister at the National Youth Conference. Let's watch.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said on Wednesday that national projects are implemented with the sole purpose of improving people's lives, stressing that it is people's right to enjoy a better life and a clean environment. Madbouli was speaking at the National Youth Conference attended by President Abdel al-Sisi and held at Alexandria's Burj Al Arab Technological University. The Prime Minister added that population density is one of Alexandria's key challenges, noting that the governorate does not have the capacity to accommodate the population increase and that it needs to generate hundreds of thousands of job opportunities in the coming period. Madbouli pointed out that 47% of Alexandria's population reside in unplanned areas due to the lack of a desert hinterland while the governorate expanded vertically. However, the country has put a strategic plan to improve Alexandria till 2032. Madbouli affirmed and added that there are also plans for Bahira governorate. He added that the country has worked on providing educational, healthcare, and social protection services in the two governorates. The Premier revealed that 40 billion Egyptian pounds have been invested in the development of Alexandria and Damanhur universities, in addition to the establishment of the Egyptian-Japanese University, Burj Al Arab Technological University, Alexandria Private University, and several educational hospitals. Madbouli stated that Egypt has invested 14 billion Egyptian pounds in industrial development in both Alexandria and Bahira governorates. He explained that these projects provide thousands of job opportunities for the citizens of both governorates. Madbouli highlighted Egypt's most important project currently being built, which is the New Delta project, with the aim of reclaiming and cultivating 2.2 million faddans, nearly a quarter of Egypt's agricultural land, with reused water, noting that this project marks the largest ever agricultural project in Egypt. Madbouli said 19 unsafe slum areas have been eliminated and replaced with 132,000 housing units at the cost of 173 billion Egyptian pounds. In remarks during the conference, President al-Sisi said that if liberalizing the pound against the dollar will affect the Egyptians, they will not carry out the move, even if it conflicts with the demands of the IMF. He added that the state will not move forward except by reducing the import and dollar gap, as it needs requirements of about 90 billion US dollars annually in order to purchase citizens' needs from abroad. He stressed that the state stabilized the pound by depositing the dollar in the market and intervening in the exchange rate, then preserving the value of the pound because it is related to the lives of citizens and national security. He said that he is not the only one concerned with the interest of the country and that no one has the right to accuse anyone of treason, collusion or ignorance. The president vowed to unconditionally pass the outputs of the national dialogue within the scope of his powers and competitiveness, and also would refer to Parliament what needs its approval as stipulated by the Constitution.
Right, welcome back and ahead with our discussion, and quickly because I have many important questions and we need to cover them.
Yes.
So the devaluation of the dollar, and the president gave yesterday an announcement that was heard not just by citizens but also echoed worldwide. The president simply said liberalization or liberalizing the exchange rate of the pound against the dollar, if it will affect Egyptians, then there is no need. Exactly these were the words of the president. Let me hear, understand from you how the people grasped this announcement, how the world saw such an announcement, how that really is reflecting on the livelihood of Egyptians?
Sure. Well, let's be clear about one thing. Devaluation of the Egyptian pound or floating, the floating of the exchange rates and so on are tools. These are tools to help the economy become part of a world economy and encourage investments. These are not punishments. These are not ways to kill the economy. These actually are tools by economists and by banks and by central banks to support the economy and to make the economy recognizable by investors and encourage foreign investment and help the economy. So that's very important to understand. What the president was saying this morning is pretty much what he always says, or I think that's his standing across all development plans. If it hurts the most vulnerable, it's not going to happen, or we will protect them from the effects of that. And that's what's happening with all the social security programs. Is it a must? Is it a must? Does it need to happen? Yes, it does. Why? We decided to go down the path of the IMF in 2016. I think the first tranche was 16 billion, and then now 3, and I think more are on the way. The IMF has a certain way of doing things, both as a technical engagement in the economic development process of the country or of the borrower, as well as supporting the financial needs of the economy. So what the president said was assuring to all of us that there is a certain firewall where things have to be recalculated if it starts affecting negatively the most vulnerable or the Egyptian people. So that was very assuring.
It gave an indication that there will be no devaluation, no more to the pound, and that was reflected on the exchange markets, by the way.
Yes.
Just exactly 1 minute after the president.
It's very sentimental. The stock markets and the exchange rates are reactive and sentimental.
The stock market is sentimental, really?
Everything's sentimental. It's about how you feel about your investments. It's not really how your investments are going to happen. So if anybody tells you they can predict what's going to happen with the exchange rates or the devaluation, I think nobody knows what was it. But we can see
let me here take it from another, also quoting the president, because I'm not speaking on my own, but the president said that there was a time when the Egyptian pound would have devaluated more than that, and that the state
yes
went, bought
Egyptian
foreign
pounds,
currency, in order to be able to prevent, because this is national security.
Yes, yes. You can do that all the time. The central bank's intervention, that's why your reserves are for. Your foreign currency reserves are for. Ours are around 35 billion US dollars at the moment. But what the government has decided, and of course by instruction from the president, is not to use this reserve in paying our debt, but to keep the cash flow in a positive way and intervene in the exchange rate. And that's what they've done before, and they keep doing, is to intervene. The IMF doesn't like that. They would like you to completely hands off, keep the currency free flow, and that is a little bit a bigger question mark. No country in the world doesn't intervene in their exchange rate, and the IMF would probably be not happy if they hear this, but if the government or the central bank does not support the currency and control the floating process, or the devaluation process, or the floating, or the free trade, or whatever you want to call it, liberalization, it would be a catastrophe. It's a free fall, and that is not
another announcement. And I have only 1 minute left for me
Sure.
here. That when the president said that I will unconditionally pass on the outputs of the national dialogue within the scope of my powers and competences, And with regard to the parliaments, I will pass to them whatever need their approval.
Yes.
How do you view that?
Oh my God, that was quite a thrill. And it's really heartening to see that statement. And we all know that when the president says something, he does it. And it's very crystal clear. The main reason for the national dialogue is to come up, bring everybody together, as you said in the beginning, solidarity. We all have to be, it's our country. Nobody's going to help us if we don't help each other. And if he is committed to that, then I think it's very assuring.
What's the big hit, the message that was a big hit of the president yesterday and today?
To me? To me, you mean? Right. I think reassuring people that he's one of them. He has his hands on the pulse. He hears them. He spoke about social media, and he says, I read everything, I see everything, I know how you feel, and I know what social media is made of, and let me tell you this. I'm not doing this to hurt you, I'm doing this to help you. So you have to help each other, and we have to come out of this tunnel together. If you decide to swim against the current, we're not going anywhere. So that was very clear, and I like the message. It's very transparent, it's very clear, and it's very helpful for all of us.
Indeed, and I will leave it here.
Sure.
Dr. Hisham Abdel, economic expert, thank you so much for being with us
Pleasure.
tonight.
Thank you.
And for your input.
Thank you so much.
And dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Next debate will be on Sunday. Many thanks again for watching, and see you.